Hello, my name is Angelica. Welcome to my channel. Today I caught a cold, and maybe you can tell by my voice, but I just cannot not make this video because I've been thinking about this lately and I just have to get it out and to share this with you, and maybe you can relate, and maybe this can help you as well. So the thing is, I gave a lot of advice and a lot of unsolicited advice and asked advice as well. But I think that giving advice is not a really good thing, but I love doing it. So I really love giving advice. And when I talk to someone and maybe they didn't even ask for it, and I just say, "Oh, but did you try this?" Or, "Oh, maybe you should do this." And that is bad because it's throwing people away. I think that there is a reason why I gave a lot of advice, because when I look back on my life, I can see a really big progress. And I really want to share that progress with everyone. And I want to give advice and help people, right? I want to help people the way that I help myself. And really, when I look back on my life, I can see that I've made a lot of good choices and my life has completely changed. And I really want to help other people as well, right? But there is a problem that giving advice is not a really it is a bad thing, okay? I won't even say that it's not really good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. So, of course, there were things that when I gave advice and people took it and it helped them. So let me give you an example. My sister, she worked at a job that she didn't really like, but she needed the money. And one time we were walking, and she really liked to make a lot of photos and post on Instagram. And that bothered me a little, because at that time I didn't post anything and I thought that that was the best. And when I saw her that she does this and she wastes a lot of time posting on Instagram, I told her, "Why are you making this for free? Why are you, like, you love doing this, but why don't you monetize this?" And she said, "What do you mean?" Like, she didn't know that she can monetize, that she can do something about it. And I told her that she can be a social media manager. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know about this." And in 3 days, she found herself her first client. And since then, it's been, I think, 3 years, but I'm not sure, maybe more, since she does this. And she quit her job and she does this full time. And she also, like, her life became better because of this, of course, and she made more money and so on and so on. So this is an example that, like, when you can give an advice to someone and they take it, and it's like, I feel really, really, really great about this. I feel so good that I helped her and that she made her life better. But this is an example. This is just an example. And maybe there are a few examples, but usually, like, if I gave 100 advice, like, maybe five of them were like advice taken, and maybe it changed, not maybe their entire life, but it changed something and for the better. And that is a really great feeling. But it also distances people from you, because sometimes people just want to feel heard, and people will come to you, right? You have a friend, for example, and he or she is telling you some stuff that, from her life or some problems, and people just want to be heard. And if you start giving them advice, maybe they already thought about that, right? And if you tell them you should do this or why didn't you try that, and they feel pressured and they want to distance from you after that because what, you know better than them. It's not really like that, because everyone has their own life and everyone has their own path in life. And if I had this path that I have, right, that I made a lot of progress, but this cannot be helpful to everyone, right? Because everyone's path is very unique, and people have to want to make a change, and in order for that to happen they have to experience things. But if you just tell them information that, oh, you should do this, you should do that, this is not good for you, this is good, you should do this, then that won't really change anything, because experience is what makes us realize things. And I want to tell you an example of a really good friend of mine. She has a troubled relationship, and she broke up with him, right? They broke up and they still saw each other, but they weren't together. And I talked to her a lot about this situation, and she talked to me. And I loved to give her advice because I have a really great relationship. And she asked for the advice because she wants a really great relationship. And I told her what I think, right? I told her that you shouldn't be with him. And thing is that after, I don't know how much, it's been almost a year, but they're back together. And we haven't seen each other since they're back together, but we're going to see each other soon. And it's gonna be awkward because she knows how I feel about him, but I realized that I should not give advice. Maybe sometimes one piece of advice can really help someone, but when you constantly give advice, it's not really good. So, what I want to say is that in order for her to understand that this is not the person for her, she has to experience stuff, just information. If I tell her this person is not for you because this and that, right? But this is information. Until she experiences like something that will make her really understand that this relationship is not good for her. But that should be an experience, not an advice. Also, therapists, they give advice, right, for money, and that's their job. And when you pay someone to give you advice, then it's an even exchange, and you're, first of all, you are really looking for that answer, for that advice, and second of all, you give something in exchange for that advice, and you're more willing to take it. Okay, therapists are not exactly about advice, but this is an example, and I think that you understand what I mean. What I want to say is that therapists don't advise their friends or family because it's not right. And why should I give advice to my friends if I'm not even a therapist? But if I was a therapist and if they gave me money, I also wouldn't, that would be really incorrect to give advice to my friends, even if they pay me and even if I'm a therapist, because that would ruin our relationship. I want to stop giving advice because people have their own path and they need to experience their own mistakes, and people learn from mistakes, not from information that you tell them. And yes, maybe sometimes you can be a really big inspiration for someone, but that would be through example, not through advice, right? So the answer is to just listen to people, right? To be there for them, to show up, right? Just to be there for them. But there is a slight problem to that, that sometimes people are are telling you their problems over and over and over again. And I've experienced that when someone tells me, oh, this, and if I just listen and I say, oh yeah, just be there for her, right? Then over time, if that just whining, right? Then that's like, maybe I could tell her directly that she's always complaining. But if that doesn't help, then that means that it's not the person for me. And sometimes you just distance, not because something happened, but because you just don't align with that person in the terms of, like, sometimes someone always complains. If someone always complains, I don't want to have that person in my life, because I don't like complaining. That's why I like to give advice if someone complains. But if someone complains sometimes and just tells you what they have here, then you can just listen and be there for them. But when it's just complaining, just distance yourself from that person. So, yeah, this is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.